Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Joyfully Free Journey podcast. It's a new year, which means a newness, a lightness. I don't know about you, but I really like the new year and I like to take the start of the year to listen for the word of the year, just to kind of set the tone for my days. I talked about that in my last episode. So if you haven't gotten a chance to watch the 2025 recap, please go ahead and do so. It'll definitely set us up for today's conversation. But before we get into our topic, if you are new here, welcome. If you've been a part of the Joyfully Free Journey family since inception, which has just been a few years, welcome back. Please do me a favor, like and share and subscribe. So if you're watching on YouTube, we are trying to get the YouTube algorithm working in our favor. The more that you're able to like and comment and subscribe, the more people can find this video. And if you are watching on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for finding us. And if this is a helpful video or podcast audio for you, feel free to share it with a friend. It is a new year, and if you watched my previous video, you will know that the theme for this year and this season of the Joyfully Free Journey is the bounce back. Bouncing back from setbacks and coming into our strength, our power, and really experiencing life in a different way, even if we've had setbacks. Last season was beginning again, but sometimes when you're beginning again, you got to get your mojo back. You got to bounce back. And so this season, we're going to be having some very intentional and meaningful conversations from other folks who have had the opportunity to bounce back. I want to hear about the bounce back. I want to hear about how they are stronger because of it and what they've learned through their journey. And so I'm excited about this season and exploring more of this topic, but it only felt right to share with you my own story. As I mentioned before in a previous video, I actually bounced back from a very specific type of burnout, ministry burnout in the helping field. I am very curious, have you bounced back from anything? If you have, put it in the chat. I would love to read your comments and let me know about how this topic resonates with you. So, a little bit about my bounce back journey. I believe that I shared in season 1 a little bit how the podcast came to be. I found myself in a dark place. Joyfully Free became really a declaration that I spoke over myself as a confession. Even though it wasn't how I felt, it was how I wanted to feel. So I made the affirmation over myself that I am joyfully free. Going back a little bit further, I actually have been in the ministry field. So ministry, meaning church staff ministry. I do believe that if you are a person of faith and a believer, that you can be in ministry at any level, wherever you are, that can be your assigned place of ministry, your assigned place of impact. Me specifically, I was serving in church ministry on staff. And that for any of the people watching this or listening to this that have that experience, it is a very unique experience. Not to get too in the weeds, but really there is it's very much a service industry. It's your people facing service always. And at the same time, when you add that spiritual component on it, it can add an additional weight. Really easy to take on people's challenges and feel the need to fix them, feel the need to have the perfect answer, the perfect scripture, the perfect prayer, etc. None of that is intentional, but sometimes it can be a way that we carry it. And what I found in my journey is that I was carrying the call, the weight, and the pressures that I was facing incorrectly, and thus leading to burnout. And so in my journey, I really had to do some deep soul work on why is this thing that previously has given me so much purpose, so much joy and fulfillment. Why is this thing too heavy for me to carry? Why is it that I am no longer passionate? So I had to do some serious uncovering and unlearning to be able to get back to a healthy place. And part of my journey really was is specific to my industry, but it's not exclusive. I feel that anyone who is in any type of serving position, whether you're serving your family, you're raising children, you're serving others in a helping field, you are a medical professional, a teacher, nurse, anything that is service oriented is very easy to get burnt out. And so I wanted to share my story with you and the things that I learned to help me. What I found is that I needed more tools, but I really didn't know how to explain how I was feeling. And I later found the term of burnout. Now, it is a more common term now, and I think there's a lot of ways to misuse it, but technically, burnout is defined by the American Psychological Association as physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion accompanied by decreased motivation, lower performance, and negative attitudes towards oneself and others. And really, that's exactly how I felt. What I once had a passion for now felt heavy. The things that brought me joy no longer brought me joy. And it actually did result in a diminished ability to perform my job duties, but then also in a diminished capacity of care for others. And that is scary because major crux of my role at the time was caring for others, leading others, and really just showing up for people. Now, just to add to this, these things were happening prior to the pandemic, but the pandemic absolutely heightened them. Prior to the pandemic, I was taking calls at all hours. iPhone was always on. Even when I was trying to have time with friends and family, I felt like I was on call. Now, that was not necessarily within my scope, but because I did not know how to turn off, I kept running. I kept going. And thus, it eventually led to burnout. And so just finding language that helped express how I was feeling to my therapist, to those close individuals that I was confiding in at the time, it really sent me on a amazing journey of getting more vocabulary and more knowledge on how to unlearn those habits that I had learned and then also get more tools to help me not find myself in that place again. One thing that I found out was the reason that my burnout occurred. As I mentioned before, it I didn't have good boundaries. I didn't know how to turn off, and burnout really can happen when we're performing at high levels of stress. Did you know that athletes are very prone towards burnout, especially professional athletes, because they're always performing, they're always on, they're always trying to hit a goal, a mark, and they're constantly training to hit this mark, and performance is their normal. And so when we're performing at high levels of stress continuously, it can lead to burnout. Burnout is also really common in the service industry, as I mentioned, pastoral care being one of them. And so it was enlightening, but also sad because I didn't know how common this was. I didn't understand what I was going through. Um, until I found myself in this situation where I'm trying to explain to someone like why I can't host a meeting tonight, why I'm literally in the fetal position crying in my house and I don't know why. I just could not. I was really in a bad way. And so athletes can experience this too when they're constantly exposed to stress, being constantly exposed to stress without commiserate rest or reward. And so think about it like an application to my own life. being on, being available, being there to give pastoral care or counseling or whatnot, to just be on high alert at all times without the corresponding rest or even just reward. And it's hard to say reward when you're in the service industry because there's pretty much always going to be work to do, but the reward of a job well done or a problem solved. Because at the time, problems were stacking up and they weren't coming down. And so for me personally, I found myself in the spiral of performing to be the best, to be all things for all people without having that opportunity to just rest as well. And so for me, I hate to say it, but what burnout looked like for me was just exhaustion. I was unable to rest even when I was trying to rest, sleeping. My thoughts were just constantly racing. I was always thinking about the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. It was so difficult for me to turn off my brain. Exhaustion, just emotional exhaustion. I couldn't explain or express what was going on with me, except for I just need some space. That is the saddest truth. Like, I literally said as I was handing in my notice, because I did eventually step back from ministry for about 2 years until I had a few more things figured out. I literally said, I I I need some space. And I didn't even know how to say how I was feeling. That's how far gone I was. So um the exhaustion, I did become very critical of myself and others, and it wasn't intentional. It was just because I was trying to feel like I had some semblance of control. And unfortunately, it just manifested in some negativity about myself and others. And then, really, the telltale sign is an unhealthy relationship to work. No matter what line of work you're in, we have to have a healthy relationship with our work so that we can then set it down and be ourselves and find identity outside of what we do. And so those were a couple of my symptoms. And in my journey of bouncing back, I would say I was gifted with some amazing tools. I was gifted, first of all, with a safe place. Finding a safe place was key in helping me to truly identify what was going on with me, identifying what are the areas of anxiety that I'm with, what irrational fears am I battling, what automatic negative thoughts I just constantly rehearsing that I'm unaware of. I got in with a coach, an amazing coach that I hope will one day be a guest on the podcast, Kira. Kira was amazing at helping me just kind of really take inventory of what was going on. And then, honestly, from the coaching session, I was like, hey, I love coaching. I would love to do coaching, but I think I need to go the counseling route. And so from there, of course, big shout out to my counselor at the time, Robin, who really helped me just really get a grasp and a hold on the anxiety piece of it. Another thing that I did that I am happy to report was very helpful is I got some help from my doctor. So, because I was so far gone in burnout, anxiety, and they were really intertwined, my doctor was a huge help to me. Um, she actually was honest with me and said, hey, there's some times that I really got a little anxious, might have felt a little depressed, just a little lost, hard to think, hard to focus. And I tried some medication that I think that you should try. And so she prescribed to me an anti-anxiety medicine. It can be used for a lot of different things, but for me, it was for anxiety. And I was able to, once that regulated the anxious part of my brain from firing off at all times and not allowing me to rest and really think, recover, like physically, I could get rest again. not wake up in a dead sweat in the middle of the night. Like, I was scaring my husband, Lamar. I mean, he didn't say he was scared, but he was definitely concerned. He was like, "We gotta get this under control." And also, I was a newlywed, so new phases of life, new job, new responsibilities, more responsibility, and really battling with this burnout anxiety combination. And it was rough. It was so rough. I'm saying that like lightheartedly now, but I mean, I lost weight, I lost hair, I wasn't healthy looking. And I think the hardest part about that is I don't know that I knew how to ask for help. And I don't know that those around me knew to even ask me if I was well. The world was really crazy at that time. We were all really going through it, and that is no fault of anyone. I just know that sometimes you just really need somebody to ask how you're doing. And be able to see what you may not even see yourself. And so I'm so grateful for my coach, for my therapist, for my doctor, and really for my family for really expressing concern about me. They were seeing things I couldn't see because I was so wrapped up with how I was feeling. And so I wasn't able to ask for help, which is a warning sign. And I think another warning sign is just the inability to admit that we're not well. Even before asking for help, we have to admit to ourselves that we're not well. I think another symbol that when I was looking into how to get back my passion, how to rediscover my purpose after burnout, was the self truth. I had to really be honest with myself about how I was doing. I couldn't lie. I don't really consider it a lie, but I was self deception that I was okay and really say, I am not well. I don't know what's wrong, but I do need some help. And that was huge in changing the trajectory of my story. And so I say all this because it's only right for me to share my story if I'm asking you to reflect on, okay, have I been burnout? Am I experiencing burnout at this time? And if you are, you're not alone. The reason why I share is to say that this is what helped me, but it may not help everyone. That was my trifecta of coaching, counseling, and medical support. But someone else's may be different. Someone might lean into more meditative therapy. They may not really resonate with talk therapy, but they may say that physical activity might help them come from a place of burnout, that going on walks or some different form of self care, whatever it is, everyone is different, but that is just really what helped me. And I would really, as we get started in a new year and we're doing all kinds of different things, maybe we're trying to reset our habits, reset the way that we really feel and how we approach our life. I would definitely encourage anyone listening to consider, are there areas that I might be experiencing burnout in? Because it doesn't have to be your whole life, doesn't have to be on fire for you to be burnt out, but you could potentially be burnt out a little bit in your friendship relationships. Maybe you've been on for all your friends and you don't feel like you've gotten the support back. That's definitely something to look into and find the life giving friendships or recalibrate your friendships so that they are better serving you. Another area we could be burned out spiritually. Let's just be honest, for people of faith, there is some level of performance orientation some of us may have to overcome. I was highly performative in my spirituality, like I could never do enough. I felt like I could never be good enough, read my Bible enough, pray well enough, spend enough time practicing my spiritual disciplines, and that became more heavy than it was necessary. I became highly performative, and I feel like I lost a little bit of my way spiritually speaking as well. I was very turned around and I didn't understand how I could do all these things to help others and then I still feel depleted. That is when I recognized that my identity was tied far too much into what I did as a profession. That's when I found out that my faith was tied far too much in what I was doing on a faith level to help other people with their faith. And I don't think that that's wrong. I just think it was misplaced. When all of our identity comes from a thing that can never give us enough affirmation, then there's something wrong. We're always going to be depleted. But when we find our identity in the right place, and for me as a believer, that is in my relationship with God and my connection to Him when I find my identity, and that is never going to change. He never walks away from us. No matter how many times we mess up, He is always available and right there willing to take me back. And so when I realized that I needed to have my identity in something, in someone that could not change, that no matter how great I did one day or how bad I did another day, it was not going to change my worth or my value. I got so much better. So I realized that my value was far too tied to what I did as a profession, what other people called me, the title I held, the role that I held, the importance that I brought to the table. And unfortunately, some of those things have to get stripped away for you to get back to your baseline. I'm actually grateful for this part of my journey because out of my lack, um, I sought out tools that would help me. Out of my lack, I actually got to a place that I could not do it alone. I really could not function alone, singularly. It was bad, but I came through it. And that is my takeaway for anyone who might be in a place of burnout. You can come through it. And you can have a tribe of people. You can have a safe place to process. And I pray that you find that. The very interesting thing about all of this and me sharing my story is that soon and very soon, I will have a workshop about burnout. I cannot get enough knowledge about this topic because it has helped me so much. If you are experiencing burnout or you know someone who is, there is hope. Once you identify your tendencies in the areas that you might be feeling this way or experiencing burnout, you can get help. There is a bounce back available after burnout. You can enjoy your work, your passion, your calling again, but it's okay to have to recalibrate and make those changes. There is a way forward. There is a way to find your identity, not in what you do or what you bring to the table or how well you perform, but just in being yourself. You can redefine what success looks like to make it healthier, a healthier, more tangible idea of success. And more importantly, you can reprioritize the thing that brings you life and energy and joy, and you can find your joy again. And so I would love to share with you that I soon and very soon I will be doing a workshop on burnout and start re-engaging with this topic through coaching. So if you are interested in learning more about burnout and bouncing back, what that looks like, and maybe even going on a coaching journey with me, I would absolutely love to have you. As you can see, I'm passionate about this topic because it hits so near to my heart. It's an integral part of my story now and an integral part of how I changed because spoiler alert, I came back into ministry. Definitely a redeeming part of my story to be back in a space, doing things that bring me joy, serving people in a way that brings me energy, but at the same time, exploring this aspect of it and bringing more value. Uh, And so I would love to partner with you. Joyfully Free coaching is now live and open for complimentary coaching, exploratory calls, and I would love to do some good work. I would love to help the helper. If you're a helper and you feel like you feel a little stuck in the thing that you know you're called to do, but you might have lost your spark, friend, you're not alone. I see you. I was you. I am still bouncing back, but I'm so grateful that there is life on the other side of burnout. And I would love to explore what that life could look like for you. So, guys, this is my bouncing back from burnout story, kicking off season 2 of the Joyfully Free Journey. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Thank you for a successful season 1. I'm excited about the content coming out this season. The interviews I already have lined up and the others that are very soon to come. So feel free to, again, like, comment, subscribe, share, post, repost, retweet, if that's still a thing. I don't think it's called Twitter anymore. Thread it, share it, whatever you care to do. Or listen, just listen again, and maybe you grab a nugget that you didn't grab when you first heard it. And until next time, I pray and hope that you would have the boldness to pursue the things that bring you joy and live authentically free. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.